All right, guys, Juwan Howard is officially out as the Michigan head coach. So let's take a look at 10 coaching candidates here that could be on Michigan's radar. Now, it is a little too early right now. Nothing has came out about this job. But as for now, though, we can take a look at some of these candidates at least and speculate from the names I've seen so far. Now, it is March, so we're focused on basketball this month. But next month, don't worry, we'll be right back into college football talk. But for now, let's focus on basketball. We've got 10 candidates here. This is a pretty highly coveted job, I would think. Definitely a top 25 job in basketball. It's not nearly the level of the football job when it comes to Michigan, but it is a pretty highly coveted job. Like I said, you can get to the Final Four at Michigan. You can win a national championship. So let's go ahead and look at the candidates here. These are in no particular order, but we'll go through this list, and then I'll tell you who I think they should hire and who I think they will hire at the end. All right, first up, Darian DeVries, DeVries, however you say it, at Drake. Really good job at Drake. He's done really good there. His son at Drake, really good player. You'll see them in the tournament next week. He's done some impressive things at Drake. I'm really surprised he hasn't got a job already. And Drake isn't far from Michigan. You know, Iowa, not super far from that. All right, next up, Brian Dutcher at San Diego State. He's done a really good job at San Diego State. Was an assistant at Michigan before he left to go to San Diego State. And could be interested in getting back. Has won a lot of ball games there. Would be a really good hire, I think. All right, Kyle Smith, Washington State. You'll see some of these same names thrown around with a lot of the job searches. Kyle Smith in particular, it seems like is one that could be interested in getting out of Washington State. Done a really good job this year there. Has them as a 2 seed in the Pac-12 and should be a top 5 team seed-wise in the NCAA tournament. Next up, Nate Oats at Alabama. You see his name get thrown around a lot, but he usually doesn't leave. He is from the Midwest. He was a high school coach in the Midwest, so not super far from Michigan. So could be interested in getting back up there. If he does have interest, he's probably the guy I would hire, but I don't think he'll have interest in Michigan. Next up, Niko Medved, Colorado State. I've seen his name connected to this job a lot, so could be a sneaky under-the-radar hire that you see end up getting hired here that you didn't expect to get hired. All right, next up, John Beilein, our former Michigan head coach, left Michigan to go be the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. He's up there in age. I think he's in his 70s probably, but he's proven he can win in Michigan. Really big. All right, so could he come back? I don't think he will, but hey, why not? Next up, Dusty May at FAU. All right, Dusty May is probably going to have his pick of the litter as far as what job he does take this year. All right, made the Final Four last year, could go on a run this year in the tournament. I don't know if he'll take the Michigan job. Reports are, like he's holding out for the Indiana job. That I don't know, but you've also got in this cycle Louisville, you've got Ohio State, so he could have his pick of those as well. Next up, Jerome Tang at Kansas State. All right, had a really good year last year. Probably going to miss the tournament this year at Kansas State, but really good first year. Was a long-term assistant under Scott Drew at Baylor. So he's won at Kansas State. So go ahead and take the leap up to Michigan. It would make sense. Next up, Tony Bennett at Virginia. Michigan was interested in Tony Bennett last time when they hired Juwan Howard. And you got to ask, has the luster worn off at Virginia? Yes, they win ball games at Virginia, but they're not really a championship contender. So would he change schools to see if he can make another run? I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. All right, next up, Porter Moser at Oklahoma. All right, reports are that he's trying to get out of Oklahoma or at least trying to get a not pay raise there, but additional funds to pay his players. There were rumors that he was connected to the DePaul job recently. Obviously, that's not happening because they went a different direction. But he is apparently interested in getting out of Oklahoma maybe. Now, he did coach at Loyola Chicago, so this job would make more sense, in my opinion, as far as relative to where he's from and where he's had success. But do you have higher expectations? I don't know. So let's go ahead and break down this list. First off, we'll cross off John Beilein. I don't think he's a realistic candidate here probably, so I don't see that happening. Next name we're going to cross off here is going to be Kyle Smith. All right. I will think he will garner some interest and maybe leave Washington State this cycle, but I don't know. I think Michigan might be too big of a jump for him. All right. Next name we're going to cross off here, Darian DeVries. All right. His name, for some reason, is not connected to a lot of jobs. And like I said, they've had a lot of success at Drake. You would have thought he would have been already given one of these jobs, but he is not yet for some reason. So I don't think Michigan's the one for him. But if he is interested in leaving Drake, I would listen to him, though, because he is a pretty good head coach. Next name we're going to take off here is Dusty May at FAU. I do think they will have interest in Dusty May. I don't know if it's going to be reciprocated, though. because, like I said, Dusty may can pick wherever he wants to go, I think, this cycle. Next name we're going to cross off here, Jerome Tang at Kansas State. I still need to see a little more from him. Had a good first year at Kansas State. This year, not so much. So I need to see a little more before I'm completely sold on him. All right, so now we've got our final five here. Brian Dutcher at San Diego State, Nate Oats at Alabama, Niko Medved at Colorado State, Tony Bennett at Virginia, and Porter Moser at Oklahoma. All right, so Porter Moser, I think he's one that might have more interest in Michigan than Michigan does in him. He had a couple good runs at Loyola Chicago, was kind of carried by Cam Krutwig. So I don't know how good of a head coach he is, to be honest with you. But I think he's trying to get out of Oklahoma more than other teams are trying to get him. But like Michigan compared to DePaul, the job he was supposedly looking at is completely different. You know, Michigan's a much higher job. So I don't think that would happen. All right, next name we're going to cross off here is going to be Nate Oats. All right. Now, if he is interested in this job, I think this is the hire that they'll end up happening is Nate Oats, but I don't think he will have interest in the job. Like I said, his name's always thrown around with these jobs now, but he's done pretty good at Alabama. Alabama's pretty good. I don't think he leaves Alabama. All right, next thing we're going to take off here is going to be Tony Bennett at Virginia. Now, I think he could have interest in leaving, but what he's built at Virginia, do you really want to leave and then try to rebuild up another program? I don't think so. I think you just ride the ship out of Virginia until you're done. All right, so last two here, we've got Brian Dutcher at San Diego State, Niko Medved at Colorado State. Two interesting candidates. Brian Dutcher has won a lot of ball games and has connections to Michigan. And then Medved, like I said, I've seen a lot of connections as far as saying he is a fit for this job. So very interesting there. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. He's done pretty good at Colorado State. But I'm going to go with Dutcher here out of San Diego State. He has those Michigan ties, and he's won a ton of ball games. So if this is the candidate list, this is probably who I'm going with, Brian Dutcher out of realistic candidates. Who do I think they go with? I think it'll probably be Niko Medved from Colorado State, but we'll see what happens. But those are my candidates. Let me know yours. Who do you think is a candidate that is not on this list? Drop their name down in the comment section. Like this video, and if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to subscribe for more.